Welcome to the AI Riff, where we cut through the noise and break down the top AI stories of the week with real talk and real relevance. No hype, no fluff, just a vendor agnostic take on what's actually shaping your world today. Whether you're in tech, lending, or just trying to make sense of the headlines, we're here to separate the wheat from the chaff and the facts from fiction. Now let's get started with your hosts, Mario Di Benedetto, Rob Katz, Ruth Lee, and me, Kyle Myers. We hope you enjoy this episode of the AI Riff.
And we're back with episode 28.
Wow. It's amazing how this could, days could go by and I still haven't changed my shirt.
It's kind of like those game shows where it's like, it's the 12th episode and all the people are wearing the same clothes and you're like, how does that happen?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just like a soap opera. I mean, sometimes a day spans a week in the show and they have the same outfit on the whole time. What's the difference?
We're doing this all of The Voice. Have you ever noticed The Voice? They wear the entire same thing for...
Yeah, exactly.
See?
Yeah, it's like,
Okay.
it just
I
magic
actually
that they
have
wear the
four
same
of these.
outfits.
And he's got a V on his jacket for The Voice. I mean,
Exactly. That's right.
that's not that college sounds like Ona Nova, right?
It's not that college that the Pope went to.
Oh,
Madeline?
Well,
well,
let's get into this topic because this is a really good one this week.
What is the topic?
So, and try not to fall asleep when I describe it because we'll make it more exciting than the actual article that we're kicking off. So, Anthropic announced an agreement with Snowflake, and if you don't know what Snowflake is, it's a data tool. I'm going to be really non-technical here. It's a data tool for really large volumes of data, and it makes it really easy for companies that have large volumes of data to report off of that data and do things. And so Anthropic, who has been picking up steam as one of the leading AIs these days, has now got their Claude AI so that it can basically sit next to the Snowflake data. And the idea here is that really opens up possibilities, right? And this is less about Anthropic and Snowflake as it is about that model, right? That you don't get a lot of opportunities where AI really does get access to your data because that's hard, one, still. And two, it's really got so much upside, but it also has a lot of risk. And so today we're going to talk not so much about the specific deal, but about like, wow, the potential, right, that's sitting out there that we don't know exactly how long it might take to actually formulate in our industry. But this potential of like, if you had AI sitting right next to your data, like, what would you do?
Well, that's what I get. I get that Anthropic is doing this because Anthropic is, if you take apart the usage and tear it down into two different segments of corporate or company usage, it's Anthropic. And if it's users, individual users and small business and people, entrepreneurs and that kind of thing, and other one-off uses, that's OpenAI. So it makes sense that Snowflake, that's the best place for it because that's where you're going to have companies who drop this into place and can feel a lot more. I think Anthropic has done a much better job of making the large language model much more safe and secure. I mean, that's what their goal. I don't know if there was their goal, but that's where they ended up. And so many companies are flocking towards that model versus using the ChatGPT or Gemini or any of the others. So I think it's logical.
Snowflake has already kind of made its chops in getting past all of the gatekeepers for data governance.
True.
And so they are already there, right?
Yeah.
And so they're this giant repository. And I think that this really telegraphs a very real shift away from integrating products and to kind of repositioning enterprise AI into your operations. And how does that work? I know that a lot of people wanted Copilot. I know I wanted Copilot to do that, but Copilot is Copilot. And even on just my corpus of data, Copilot still struggles to find like a resume that I did last month. I mean, it's still struggling to do that. And a lot of that has to do with the way that that I'm not very good at doing my meta tagging. I'm not very good at the way I label things. And the nice part about Snowflake is it's very, even though it's structured and unstructured data, that discipline has been overlaid for quite some time, which makes it this wonderful solution and a place to really sandbox what we can do with corporate data.
Right. So, and presumably, just doing some basic blocking and tackling on what you said, presumably people who already have something like Snowflake already have done all the work to make sure it's clean data, which is one of the challenges with AI, because if you put garbage data in, you're going to get garbage out. Right.
Mhm.
So you get this nice marrying of, quality data with your AI. I remember 10 years ago at IBM, when IBM had Watson, and it wasn't even really Watson, but they were going around selling machine learning models that would do fallout rates on your loans, right? Which loans are most likely to fall out? Which loan your servicing loans are most likely to move? And at the time, it was it was challenging. It to me that's where we're going, right? We're going to start to be able to get hopefully down market. So this isn't just all the big guys in the space, right? Hopefully down market, we start to be able to get the ability for people to have the ability to do actual analytics on their data and start to ask questions like, it, which of my loans are the riskiest ones for closing, and what are the alternatives, right? Historically, that are more likely to, close for this person. Um, there's just so many places you can go, right? There's so many opportunities if you have clean data and you have the AI sitting next to it.
And if you really think this through, I mean, um, intercontinental exchange ICE is the perfect example of where they have a lot of data across different organizations from small to large, and they are a model. As much as it has to be anomalized to some degree, they're like I would think be a perfect target for someone like that has for Snowflake, Anthropic teaming up to have something where they're not leveraging this already. Like they may already be in works. Who knows?
So,
It just seems to me like that's the most, because then you can sell this consulting, so to speak, to this like you said, you could almost do your own hedge model within Encompass. So what are the typical fallout rate? What's the percentage chance of this loan closing? And you've got this broad base of information that you can leverage it against. Now, I don't know how that goes against contracts with individual companies, and because you're not really surfacing their data, but you're using their data.
anonymized, yeah, you can use anonymized data in a lot of cases, but that's a great example to me also of the opposite. And I will admit that I may not be completely up to speed, but I remember when I first got into that particular world, somebody said to me, "Don't worry, there's only 22 different fields for application date." Like the entire data model was the opposite of clean. It was chaos, right? And it was like, well, try training AI on that. Like that's crazy town to me. And listen, when you have large volumes of data, I guess there's always going to be some craziness to it, right? People don't use Snowflake because they have 3 tables with 4 rows.
Well, perfect for Snowflake is the conditions, right? That's unstructured data and these conditions on loans that everyone and every company has their own descriptor in the whether you use ICE's model of the enhanced conditioning, or you use gateless or candor or all these other and you have all these different names for the same condition.
It's a great use. It's a great use case, right?
Yeah.
And I would the first use case that I'd love to do if I had that was, which of the conditions that my underwriters self put on their loans themselves do I not need?
Right.
Pattern discovery.
Right.
And
But the negative pattern discovery, like who's creating work that I don't even need to create?
Right.
Like historically, they put them on there and either they get waived or they get thrown out or they don't like there's so many possibilities.
Well, and I know that kind of what they come out and they're talking about is, building agentic workflows directly into Snowflake, and I think that that will eventually happen. But right now, I think that, to your point, we're looking at kind of just pattern discovery or negative pattern discovery, and how do we normalize things that we as an industry have struggled with for a really, really long time,
Right.
because like scenario desking, right? I mean,
Right.
oh, that
Right.
should be so darn easy.
Right.
No, no,
No,
no, no, no, no, no, no,
with enough
no.
pattern discovery and enough data, you can suggest scenarios,
You can
right? You don't
suggest.
need to have it in your head like, oh, I have to do this one and then I should try that one and like it's like no, in this
Oh,
situation,
well,
here's the top.
wait. Suggesting having AI suggest scenarios. That sounds a lot like the steering that you hear about. What if AI starts steering people? Well, you don't want to go after that because I can see you live in this area and most people don't go after that product. So they steer you to another product. I don't know. Be
Let's.
careful.
I'm going to harken back a couple of episodes and say that as long as it has explainability and it has been trained for fairness and no bias, then it's fine.
Yeah.
Well, and then I guess XAI will all of a sudden become that the man behind the curtain that we all point at, and the regulators go, mm-mm.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That was cute. But no, you gave, I mean, how it was the same problem that many years ago, I think it was it Amazon or Microsoft or one of them, they were hiring, and they had put in AI on their hiring, and it was doing pattern discovery. And what it was discovering is that they were most likely going to hire a guy who was a gamer, and had all of these specific things, because that was the group of people that it was looking at. But at the end of the day, it had to evolve and change. Now there are tools that can make all of that happen, by the way. I mean, it's not particularly hard to have lap, shime, varshap. I mean, there's just things that you can put in place that will identify these terrible, terrible consequences, and you can provide those to rate.
So, and I am dreaming, right? I started out with dream scenario. We're gonna have these great things. We're gonna have data. We're gonna be able to figure out all this stuff. The reality check is, of course, that you have to, even if you created the greatest model you ever needed for solving one thing today, at least in everything that exists today in AI, you have to monitor the AI.
Mm-hmm.
The AI itself can stray. It can be basically trained in a way, as you're saying, Ruth, that is the antithesis of what you wanted it to do, right? It's getting some reinforcement that somehow says go over here when that's not at all what you originally intended.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all kinds of complications that you have to prepare for if you were to do such a thing, right? It is like was it 2 episodes ago, 1 episode, 2 episodes ago, where we talked about it ain't easy. Well, this ain't going to be easy either. I mean,
No.
Snowflake and Anthropic want to make it sound like you just snap your fingers and you got AI, but
Well,
But
yeah.
Anthropic will be an enterprise AI solution without ever training anything because of the relationship with Claude. It is a brilliant move. It is a way for, and as well as, I mean, Snowflake doesn't need to be in the AI business. They're in the data business.
yeah.
And Anthropic is in the, we figure out pattern recognition. You can do portfolio recommendations, customer service automation, servicing information to people
So,
on the fly. I mean, all of
so,
those things which before took so much time.
so right now, Palantir, right? That's effectively what Palantir has done when they in the AI stuff that they do. They do a lot of other stuff, but that's the AI stuff they do. And they don't do things for less than 7 figures. Like they're not doing rinky dink little, like it's complicated, big stuff to do. So there's a long path between where we are and, again, snap your fingers, get analytical models, but it's a step in the right direction.
Because unfortunately, that means in the mortgage industry, there's like 20 companies who can afford it.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
that's
that's
what I'm
true.
saying. That's why I'm saying
That's
ICE
why
is
I'm
a
saying
perfect
ice. Ice could proliferate for everybody, right?
ICE could be the overlay for everybody, and then they can offer it as a product offering within their closed loan, way too much per loan cost that they have. So, I mean, I say way too much, but
Could
actually,
could it be what rescues them so that the people who are all looking to go somewhere else don't
well,
leave?
I just want ICE to recognize that I openly said this, that was the
You want
perfect
a
match
discount.
between them right now so that I can get, a little something for the effort,
This episode sponsored
by ice.
by Kyle,
Yeah. Yes.
fan of ice.
Yeah. I would, maybe we should just send this to the, I know some people at ice. I'll send this podcast to them and then I'll quietly buy a bunch of ice stock and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that might work against my day job, Kyle. So maybe we won't do that.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Well, maybe there's another application for this.
I think that there are some, ICE as well as others are uniquely suited to take the economies of scale that are necessary for this to proliferate through our whole industry. Because, I just don't see your run of the mill IMB who's doing $1 billion a year, being able to invest in Snowflake, have all of this technology. Plus, exactly what you said, Mario, you still need a human in the loop. You still need somebody who actually knows the right answer.
But that's the problem with this industry. This industry is you're in one of two places. You're beholden to a company that's using 25-year-old technology, and the chances of them adopting AI in a practical, realistic way is 5 years off. Or you're in one of those 20 companies who can afford to do this and can just basically snub their nose at the rest of the industry and say, too bad for you. We got it. You don't. And then they, whatever their life cycle is, they go up, they go down, they disappear. And now it just repeats itself on the next technology.
But just to cover myself on the last comment, I will say, if you want a very structured behemoth that does the core, but does not extend themselves very well out to out to being very dynamic or nimble, then definitely ICE is your choice. But there are other companies out there that are way more nimble and can really make it a lot easier to do loans.
There you go. Thanks, God.
And they will cooperate with you.
I just think it's a very interesting play for them to have this $200 million, which is a relatively small investment, and all of a sudden, we are looking at the possibilities that are there. I know that for me, when I'm working with a client and I'm in their data, even having something that could just have my blind side and be able to tell me, one of the things that I love about AI right now is all of these functions where it's like, let me tell you where all your mistakes are.
Yeah.
Let me show you where all of the formatting mistakes. Like, I don't need for them to tell me if I'm right or wrong. Tell me if the data is conditioned in the way that I need it conditioned. And doing that is hard. But Snowflake, they've got those tools. They've been doing that for a long time. And so maybe they're able to do it, and it does become a default enterprise AI for a whole lot of people, just because they are able to, they'll take the big guys and then the fast followers, and then everybody else is going to come along, because having access to your data that way would be so compelling. I can't tell you, if I were to ask out of the top 100 mortgage companies, how many first-time home buyer loans with down payment assistance did you close in Q3 of last year? It would take them weeks to find me that information.
Right. And then the idea of having something that says, I will automatically tell you as soon as you start to originate a loan that I see it qualifies for a down payment assistance loan, right? That it would just happen instantaneously, right?
Or
it doesn't take AI to do that, but
CDFI covers a broad base of disabilities, and some people don't claim those on the application. And, we would love for everyone to have that all up front. And I don't know how you get to that data because it's not on the application. So, I don't know if there's algorithms, and that probably gets into a bias thing. So you can't really do that. But, there's plenty of data points or paths you want to present to a client or to the loan itself, just paths internally after they've chosen all the products they're on, or to the buyer themselves of all the possible paths that they could go down without having even, and maybe that's a tool presented to the LO so they could show them, here are all the different things you could do which one is most likely. Okay, let's rule these out and get to here. Now AI is helping you with the broad path of how do you get that loan closed? Because that's the only question. Every LO that originates a loan with any company is, how do I close this loan? And they want to know right then, based on the documentation that's in front of them, how do they close that loan? And if we could get that, that's the goal of every company, I think, push that information up to the conversation so that they can actually get all the information they need and make the decisions. You could push that decision process to ultimately, it'd be great if it was 8 days. I think that's the fastest you could close a loan.
Well, and filter down all of the nonsense nuisance questions, right? Wouldn't it be nice if I were able to just see whether or not it is zoned properly? I would love to be able to know what the property taxes are without having to go and find that information. I would love for it to be able to crawl through and say, you know, here I'm able to eliminate 30% of the questions because we know the answers already, instead of what we have to do now, which is kind of go step by step, field by field, field by field. And instead we could just leap from A to D instead of A, B, C, D. That would be meaningful for a lot of people, because that is where a lot of error is invested in the process, because people are focused on, let me talk about your income. You know, okay, yeah, taxes and insurance. Your homeowners association, like $50. Yeah, sounds good. And those are things that if you actually had the ability to map that together, that's meaningful. That's time. That's error rates. That's, you know, repurchase demand. That's early payment default. That's those things.
Yeah. So let me get your impressions. You're a mid-sized lender, and I'll let you have your own definition of what that means. You're a mid-sized lender. You're going to see something around AI being able to really deliver meaningful analytics to you on your data. Let's ignore platform. In what time frame?
18 months.
18 months? I'm gonna say at least 2 years, at least. And that to me, that's just right. It's all a swag, right?
Well, it's a swag because I know where we are right now.
And we're just saying that we know that it just doesn't move that fast, and that's a big ask, right? To what you were saying before, Ruth, it's like to get that for the mid market. That's the tough spot, right? To really serve and to do it in some sort of economic
way. Where's that
way.
number for you, Mario, for the large players and for the mom and pops?
So I think they dabble in it today, and I think they'll have it in the large players will have some form of it in a year. I think they'll pay ridiculous amounts of money to get there.
Well, they have.
But they can afford to pay ridiculous amounts of money to get there.
Well, I mean, you know, if you are in a business, which we are, which should be data-driven decision making, you know, for you, that cost of that investment will have real ROI.
Absolutely.
Because you'll be able to do things that your competitors will not. You will be able to map together servicing and origination and capital markets and marketing and client acquisition and client retention and loss mitigation all into one huge wrapper. And whether or not you have somebody who, like a human in the loop, that's catching that ball or not, right now it's completely opaque to you.
Yeah.
They have no ability to even see it, which is the part where I just think it's absolutely fascinating that we are even able to peek through the hedges finally. I mean, you know what I mean? And so we talked about it before, which is, I understand that everybody's like, oh, AI is, I was watching somebody today and they were like, AI is trash technology. And I was like, okay, okay, influencer.
Yes.
Yeah. That's just like, yeah. That's moment in time thinking. And if you, those will come back, especially when you're on, if they're recorded saying that, you know, the internet has a funny way of holding on to those things.
Electricity, it's a flash in the pan. It's a
There's
flash in the pan.
There's only use for one or maybe two mainframes on the entire planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My husband was talking about, he was reading a book and he had kind of gone back, and we're really into kind of like hard sci-fi. And it was like, and the author quotes, he's like, and he had 2 megabytes of RAM. And my husband and I just kind of laughed. We were like, oh.
Isn't
But,
that so
I
nice?
mean, and he was projecting into the future, this huge 2 megabytes.
Yeah.
2
Wow. Yeah. That's like saying he's got a 28.8 modem.
And you can hear it go, wee, wee, wee.
Yeah.
Those are the type of things that I think that all of these things are going to be realistic, and we're still at this like nascent area of where this discipline is evolving. And so I think that some people are hyping it too much, where they think that it comes with a wand, and other people are, dismissing it out of hand because they just don't see the horizon and where it is, but it's still on the horizon.
Whose commercial is it? It's either OpenAI or Anthropic's that is like, it starts out with all these negative things that are going on in the world.
Oh, does it?
And then they creep back and they start talking about like all the problems that you can potentially solve, like all the big challenges that are in front of us. And it turns it whole thing into a positive. And it's like, listen, it is the world challenged in many ways? Sure. But it's pretty exciting to see what might happen. It really is.
That's a great up note. I think we've crushed the snowflake issue, except for those people in Buffalo and upstate New York are getting pounded with snow right now. And on that note, I'll say I'm Kyle Myers.
I'm Ruth Lee.
And I'm still Mario de Benedetto.
And this has been the AI Riff.
Wires hum like whispers in the deep dark night. Shadows dancing strange under neon light. Digits spinning fast like a gambler's hand. The clock chimes change, it's the new command. Oh, the future calls with a voice so clear. A melody of progress in every ear. No turning back, the wheels in motion. A tide of cold like the endless ocean. Binary prophets riding fading streams. Data flows like rivers fueling all our dreams. Simple or savvy, it's all the same path. Under skies of innovation, we redraw the map. Oh, the future calls with a voice so clear. A melody of progress in every ear. No turning back, the wheels in motion. A tide of cold like the endless ocean. Set the rhythm to the beat of change we sing. Every click and hum a key that rings. A revolution, quiet, but it's vast. Building empires where echoes of futures cast. Oh, the future calls with a voice so clear. A melody of progress in every ear. No turning back, the wheels in motion. A tide of cold like the endless ocean.